Welcome back to the Tree Surgeons podcast. Today, I've got Jack and Luke from Crimson Kings. They're based near Nottingham, and we're going to be talking a lot around what they do in the tree surgery industry and what they also do with apprentices and their academy. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks yourself.
Yeah, good. Good to have you here. So, first of all, tell me, how did you both get into the industry? What's been a bit of your experience, and how did you get into tree work?
So I'll start because I probably started a little bit before Jack. So I was basically left school at 16, did graphic design at college and just basically flunked it, just wasting my young, misspent youth type thing.
That's one of the things, you go to college and what am I going to do? And just go with the flow, right? And then...
I was interested in it, but I just, I was not looking after myself or didn't have much vision on where I wanted to go or anything. So I ended up leaving the college and just getting locally some jobs that weren't really interested, factory jobs and things like that. And then I ended up working for a debt management company as an advisor, and pretty much that really got me pretty down in the dumps because obviously you're speaking to people who are really depressed.
Yeah, that's a hard job.
Yeah, it was.
From my experience with debt, it's not a cool, good place to be in, and you're talking to people in really stressed environments and not particularly happy.
I was in a great place, and then someone actually drove into the back of me, and I got a whiplash claim pretty much. And not long after that, I went for a day trip to London with my family and saw some tree surgeons working in the tree, and I thought, that looks a bit of me.
Cool. Yeah.
So I basically used that money to pay for my tickets.
Yeah.
So I went to Dane at Brampton Valley.
Yeah, no, Dane.
Northampton, and got my CS 3031. Like 6 months later, I got my 38, 39, and pretty much from the day I did it, I've never been out of work.
Nice.
So,
cool. And what sort of work did you do to start off with?
I did actually end up working for Dane a bit,
yeah.
And then the assessor who assessed me at the time ended up working because he was at Nottingham, so I worked for him, mainly domestic, and I was just like freelance groundsman to start with, and then got my climbing tickets and then got employed for 4 years basically.
Nice.
But again, that was a mix of council work, domestic work, and it was a good company. Ended up like they always had quite big machinery and things like that, so it was like one of the leaders in the area at the time and stuff. So
yeah, nice. And then you started Kings?
So I ended up leaving that job and went subby climbing basically.
Yeah.
And then I worked in Vancouver in Canada.
How was that?
Awesome. Yeah. It was amazing. I'd recommend if anyone gets the opportunity to do it, to do it.
Yeah, I've heard Canada's amazing.
It was big trees, which is why I wanted to go and do it. But it was, to be honest, I've had more complex jobs here.
Yeah.
But it was just big. You had to have the size of them and high stakes.
And what was the industry like over there?
I thought it was going to be like the cream of the crop type thing. And there was some guys there that were... I just went there to be the student, really, and try and learn from some of these guys. But I ended up... There was definitely some real skilled people there, but I quite quickly worked my way up in that company. I think there's like 25 lads there or something, to one of the team leaders.
Nice.
Yeah, did a bit there, then came back. Obviously, I have a girlfriend still here, so I was away for a bit over a year and stuff, and then came back, did a bit in Germany and Sweden, and then me and Jack at the time were both like subcontracting to basically all of the local companies, and we just, obviously, he had a van, I had a pickup truck, and we thought, we went to school together. And we'd actually worked together as well before that.
Amazing.
So we just thought we'll give it a go.
Yeah, nice.
And that was the birth of Crimson Kings in 2019. It was first set up on January the 1st, 2019.
Nice. Happy days. Good. And so, Jack, how did you get into
I was doing sports and development and leadership at college, like something completely unrelated. Did the classic, came out of college, couldn't really find anything that I liked, same as similar to Luke. Went into becoming an electrical engineer, doing like cable jointing, things like that. Being in holes all day, wet, cold, horrible, and I was just miserable, to be fair. And I see him on Snapchat at the time, obviously Snapchat's massive.
I used to put all videos on
and he's swinging around in the trees, and I remember one, he's like running up to a chip pile and like jumping over, and I thought, that looks like he's having fun.
That looks like good crack.
It's fun.
Rather than being in a hole and get cold and wet,
thinking, that looks like best to do. And I was saying, can you get me a gig? And he said, I'll try. And then one weekend, he said, Will's got, he can come in and help us out on this massive job. And I turned up and I was like, this is me. It was just awesome. The physical output, like, it was all the like lads, the band that were around, is just amazing. I just loved it. And
so that day, we went out the night before, and I was actually up the tree being sick.
Yeah. Love it.
Thinking, is this?
And I think you'd like felled a massive tree, and it was like went perfectly, and it was just what it's like when you first fell in trees, the excitement and everything. And it went perfectly. I missed a load of stuff, and it was just like this is awesome.
Yeah, you were in then.
I was in, day one, I was in. So then it went from there, and I started I come from a bit of a machinery background, so I started with Will Simpson doing his machine driving, and I got into climbing, and then eventually I went on to be a subcontract climber like Luke. I did it for a year, and then he turned up at my door one day and said, "Should we have a go?" And there we go.
There we are.
Yeah. We said we'd keep it small. We say we're still working for the people. We'll do it 3 days a week or whatever if we can, if the work comes in. 3 days a week turned into 5 days a week, turned into 6, turned into staff, turned into
Nice. It's evolved well.
So it's evolved well. It's not been without its challenges, but that's where we started anyway.
And what do you reckon has been, talking about challenges, what do you reckon has been your biggest challenge in the last 5 years of starting and growing our business?
God, where do we start?
One challenge we've definitely overcome is being in a partnership. Actually. Because we were saying on the way here, it's literally like we're married. In some way.
Do you know what? I started the tree surgery business 2008, and I started with another guy then, and I very much looked at it with that. We did 3 months together, and I remember thinking at that point, I planned to be doing this business. I was 24 for maybe the next 30 or 40 years. So can I really spend the next 45 years? I was with this geezer, and the answer was no. Yeah. And because I think exactly, it's like a marriage, isn't it? You're exactly right.
Been through marriage counselling.
We've actually have external help to come in,
like a mediator to come in. I think it has its challenges, but also it has massive strengths.
100%. Agreed. To be able to have a big business partner that you can work together, then that can be really powerful because you can bounce off each other.
And everyone said it won't work, and there's been times where it's been close. For both of us. But it's just try and figure it out. And then, but now, I definitely think we wouldn't have been able to get as far as we have in that space of time without the help of each other, basically.
Yeah, no, agree.
Yeah, and we're both we do personality tests, and that was one of the things we did, and we're both completely
disc
different.
Assessment.
Disc assessment.
Yeah, exactly that. So I was going to ask that. The disc assessment's great.
Yeah, and that's why it works, because we are different. Like if you had two of the same, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. If you've got two people who are amazing at sales and marketing, and they're really affluent, extrovert kind of people, then you're going to clash, and also you're going to have nobody who's checking and doing the detailed stuff. So that's where you do need, like me and my wife Sarah, the reason why this is so poignant is because we literally just done some personality tests. It's similar to DISC, and we had a call yesterday with the guy who facilitated it, and it was with the whole of our team. And Sarah, my wife, is the complete opposite to me. She's detail driven. She's detail driven, analytical. I'm very much like ideas, people person, no attention to detail. So without the other side, then you just constantly, for me, I'm just too positive all the time, not looking at the detail. So what am I going to guess? Are you a high eye?
Yeah, I'm high eye.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that.
It's a high eye.
So
impulsive. But also influential,
inspiring.
High eye, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so on the disc, so an eye. So I guess that, because we've talked a lot. So you must be probably more of a C.
I was a DC,
which is really good because you've got that dominant and you can make decisions and drive, but then you've got the detail of
it's good. So if I sometimes catch myself being a bit impulsive, I think, I need to rein it in. And that's the beauty of also being in partnership, is accountability.
Yeah,
and also you are going to clash because you're opposite. But that's like me and Sarah, my wife, was saying earlier on when we were in the room that Sarah's come back in after 8 years off, and she's come in at the beginning of last year, and we clash a lot. But actually what we do is I actually grabbed her the other day and said, look, we need to understand that at the end of the day, and I know you're not going to say this to each other, but I say to Sarah, at the end of the day, we still love each other. and we've got to remember that. But we are going to clash because we need to be able to bounce these ideas off of each other and come to an agreement. And I guess
find a middle ground.
Find a middle ground. And I guess that's what you guys do without the loving bit at the end. I don't know.
I just can't stand the impulsive stuff. I really need to think things over.
So that's where we clashed in the past.
And
that rash decisions I struggle with, like off the cuff, to like mull it over a little bit more. And
yeah, nice. And have you done disc profiling on your
the team leaders? We did, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Because then you can see, because we did it with Mike, my commercial manager, and the whole team.
Yeah.
And Mike's similar to you; he doesn't do impulsive, and I used to stress him out because I'd run into the room like a whirlwind and go, "We're going to do all this stuff," and he'd just be like trying to process it, and he'd just send me an email. Like that's the way he'd communicate with stuff. So it's why it's so important to understand your team, each other, like how you work together. Because ultimately, a well-oiled machine, a well-oiled team is going to be a very productive team, isn't it? So,
yeah, definitely. It's obviously again with managing the lads and stuff. We've both got our own like approaches towards that and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, nice. So what sort of size business are you if you've been going 5 years?
There's 10 of us now.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so good. That's including Jodie and Roxanne in the office.
Yeah.
And there's basically 8 operational team. Well, if you count me and Jack as well.
Yeah, nice.
We tend not to use subcontractors. We've got maybe 1, maybe 2 that
really buys into what we do. So
intermittently,
Yeah.
But we'll try and say we'll pay you £10 extra than everybody else, but you need to come in and you need to live and breathe the.
Yeah. It's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Company values, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be. And that's what we have the same. I don't use many subbies, but the ones that we do, it's they turn up and they're part of the team and they live and breathe the company, you say, values. So is that something that's important to you, company culture?
Massively, yeah, huge.
So, one of the top things for me, definitely. I love that building of a team, building of a culture, making sure everybody feels part of the team. Like they're coming to work and they're enjoying what they're doing, they're learning, and just I love it.
And why do you think company culture is important?
I think, like, obviously having, especially worked subcontracts and working abroad and stuff, I've seen quite a lot of different environments, and I've always found that one of the main drivers was a good company culture. If that was the positive work environment and stuff like that, then people would generally stay longer. You'd have better people there because people would be more inclined to stay, and
less a revolving door.
Yeah,
and plus it feels good, doesn't it, to have a good team that works
well.
Yeah, and also a good team is going to be a more productive team. And as we always say, our team is our biggest asset, aren't they? And I see you guys won a reward. Am I right in thinking that?
Employer of the Year award.
Yeah,
and we were also nominated for what was it? Pro Landscaper Arboricultural Company of the Year award, which
was up against
Groundlord was up on it, but we were like drop in the ocean compared to some of them guys.
Great work though.
We didn't win it.
No, but just to be named, that's when I sort of really noticed you guys when I saw you win that award, because I was like, that's an award I'd love to win, like being known, not just because of the award, but just to know that you're being recognised for doing those things is really important. And you've got the Crimson Academy.
Recently set that up.
Yeah, so tell me about that.
I think the fact is, what we've always tried to do is we have had subcontractors in the past in the early days, but we weren't getting the results that we wanted because we never had the most money or the biggest kit or anything like that. There was times we're talking about on the way up here, weren't we, where we were like running 7-man teams with one petrol 6-inch chipper, and we would just be like leapfrogging going to jobs. But we've always, people didn't want to stay and then they wanted to do other things. So what we made a decision of probably 4 or 5 years ago now is to try and take on apprentices. And at the time they were offering the grants, weren't they? Probably just because we were like naive or whatever. We ended up interviewing a load of people and we couldn't really decide between them, could we? So we just ended up giving 4 of them a job.
Nice. 4 apprentices.
So there's 4 apprentices, but you can imagine for the next 2 years, we were just running around like headless chickens because they weren't really skilled.
Yeah, very.
So we were doing all the climbing, Jack at the time was like the machine man, and I was more the quotes and customer man. While we're doing all the climbing and all the work and making sure that they're
trying to keep them busy.
Making sure that they're not
killing themselves.
But like I said, it's hard work trying to keep that many on the ground, busy in the tree as well. So we were flogged to death.
Yeah.
But we found great satisfaction in like seeing them improve.
Yeah, massively. And are they still, any of those 4 still with you now?
One of them is gone. The other 3 are still with us. We've now made them team leaders.
Amazing.
They've been there for 4 years, and now we've got 2 more apprentices coming through the ranks. But like we had another guy in who left an apprenticeship, didn't he? And like when he first came, we were running like we called it like the whatnot challenge, where we'd learn like 10 knots for groundsmen that would be handy for groundsmen to know. And obviously we spent time in the morning before we went out to job doing it, and he's just like blew his mind, like hadn't experienced that at his previous companies where we'd actually been. We wanted them to get better, obviously, as quick as we could. And we'd had it before where I was waiting for them to pull something over and they were trying to work out how to tie this to the machine, and it's just you're losing literally 20 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, whether people trying to work it out.
Because they can't work it out. So we thought if we spend 20 minutes this morning teaching it to everyone, then at least someone will know, at least hopefully.
I think that's really smart because I think a lot of people employ anybody, even if they've got tickets or no tickets, and go, here's a job, you go and do it. But actually nobody spends time to actually go, this is our company, this is the way we want things doing, here's some knots to learn. This is what it is, a long-term investment, but I think we all think, and a lot of people go, I want some work, I need someone now. So then they just put out and they're looking for some experienced, and then the challenges we have with looking for experienced people is sometimes we get subbies that don't want to be part of the company culture, or they don't want to turn up in
it's job and not, that's
job
the main
and not,
thing.
they want to turn up at 8, they don't want to do any chipping, you know, that kind of attitude, which is what I hate about the subby culture, is exactly that. Or you're trying to try and find someone who's been doing it for a long amount of time. There's very limited amount of people that leave their jobs out there, and if they do, who are you getting and why are they looking for a job? It's half the time. So I think what you're doing there is really smart, where you're going, we're building for the future, because the business is a long thing, isn't it? It's not something you...
So don't get me wrong, if people were thinking about an apprentice, like, it's not an easy decision to make. It is a big responsibility, and it is a lot of hard work, isn't it? Especially if you have multiple ones. But now we are seeing the benefit of it.
Yeah. Nice.
Because we've pretty much been able to
mould them,
come off the tools most of the time. And now, because part of the culture is like continuous learning, so we want always a platform, because I think you might have mentioned it in your last podcast with Callum as well, like people get to a stalemate, don't they, where they're like, I've got my CS38, 39 now, and my boss has just said, well, that's me done now. And obviously they're going to get bored, aren't they?
Yeah, because everyone wants progression. Everyone's moving through a career at some point, aren't they, where they want progression.
So we're trying to find opportunities for people to progress. For the apprentices after their apprenticeships, one of them's now on a level 4.
Nice.
The other one's now on a eco one.
Yeah.
Because we thought, he can't fight it. He wants to have something to do with bats and he's going for his bat licence. We either try and say, no, don't do that, and he'll do it anyway, or we'll just support him doing it, and hopefully we can set something up in the future where we're doing it.
And they deserve it. They deserve that investment as well.
They do, and they're going to buy into you so much more when you invest in your team. They'll see that, and I like it because there's a revolving door. The people are always going to leave at some point, but if you can get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years out of someone, then happy days. And if they can stay for even longer, then brilliant. But like you say, that's a revenue stream potential in the future. If you can start offering ecology surveys, bat surveys, and someone that can also climb a tree and do it at the same time, then it's a massive win and another revenue stream for you guys, which then it ticks the boxes.
In the theme of continuous learning, I think we need to apply ourselves to it as well. So we always actively try and develop ourselves as well. So Jack's obviously first aid NUCO trainer now, so we can do first aid courses. I'm now an assessor MPTC and nearly a Lancer instructor as well. And this is where we're going now. And that might give the other guys room for progression as well further down the line.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's the kind of way it goes. I think I spent a lot of years not investing anything into myself. And then the last 4 or 5 years, I've been invested a lot. But then I realised that I wasn't investing enough in my team. And it goes both ways. Like, investing in your team will pay you back in so many ways, not just in money in the bank. It's about fulfillment, people respect, well, being committed to the business, staying longer, the good company morale. I think there's nothing worse than working for somebody and feeling undervalued, like no investment, I'm just a number, and all those kind of things. And you guys clearly are doing that with an abundance. So what's involved in your academy? Is it just a case of bringing new people through? What is it looking at?
So the Crimson Academy is just literally a sister business basically to Crimson Kings, and it's just, I think actually the main factor behind it was obviously a lot of our work is still domestic, probably about, what would you reckon, about at least 50%, I would say.
Yeah.
Considering like the turnover that we have, that's quite high for domestic work. What we found is obviously April, May, June, it just goes shit.
Yeah,
and it was this last year. The year before, it was even worse. We got down to a week's worth of work.
Yeah.
And obviously at that point, we were getting squeaky bum time thinking, what are we going to do? Because we've got a week's worth of work, and luckily the phone starts ringing.
Yeah, it's tight. We had the same last year. We went down to about 10 days, and it was for 4 or 5 teams. It starts to get squeaky bum.
And you're bringing your prices down a little bit to try and get in more work, and then when you get it in, you're not making
I'm not making
money. When the money actually comes in, it's like
you're just trying to catch up, and then
it is a really tricky time of year, really, for most of the industry, unless you've got like a contract that's in place that's all year round. But even some of the councils now have decided to stop doing work through the summer and stuff like that. Everyone's so aware that those periods we get the perfect storm where budgets reset in April, plus birds start to nest in ecology, and it seems to be like through COVID, it was like the industry was on steroids, and we just didn't get that for 3 years. And then the last 2 years, it started to go back to how it was before COVID, where those few months are quite quiet. I see that.
So the whole point was like diversification. So a lot of people recommend, I think yourself included, when you're in that time frame where it's gone really quiet, to do training, development. We're the ones providing some of the training during that period. It's going to help us as well. So that's the logic behind it, really. It was just like an extra stream of revenue potentially when things are quiet.
I think that's really smart. So you can now offer first aid, NPTC courses, and be able to get people in, which is exactly what we do in our business. Is we send a lot of our guys to go and do their training through summer, so then you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's a bit quieter. If you can make, like, what we try and do is make all of our money between September and April. If we can then get through those quieter months with just making a small amount, as long as we've made some really chunky money through the winter period, then it levels out and then gives us the opportunity to go, okay, we've made a load of money over winter, let's now go and send the guys on some training courses. That's really smart.
It's a killer because I think the quiet period for this industry is because it coincides with most people's end of tax year. So you get this security, and then you're debating like, what would it, how much tax are we going to pay if we don't spend a load of money? So you spend a load of money, and then you go straight into the quiet period, and then you just
shit, I need some cash. Where's all my cash gone?
So
it's all a process, isn't it, learning.
We're just brainstorming what can we do to and sales and marketing is one of the things, but obviously a diversification, and it's a sideways step as well. It helps us progress. I think it gives us credibility with the lads that we're like.
We care.
And you're leading from the front. If you've got company culture, one thing I've very much learned is it's very easy to say, our company culture is really great, we do X, Y, Z, our values are always learning, teamwork and all that kind of stuff. And then if you're the owners of the business and you're not developing yourselves, you're not doing all the things in your culture, then people see straight through that. Like people, that's why when we changed one of our company values from fun, because it just kept coming up that you can't keep telling us to have fun. They were like, just stop fucking telling us to have fun. When you're sending us to a Blackthorn site, it's not fucking fun, all right? So we changed it to transparency, and then that's when last year I sat down with the whole team, every single member of our team, and showed them our P&L, because I couldn't be any more transparent than going, here's our profit and loss. Here's a profit and loss sheet. So I agree. It's so important, and what you guys are doing, you're just leading from the front, and then you just get so much more buy-in from your team for that.
I think, like yourself, obviously, you're someone that we listen to a lot, and a lot of the things that we've took from you is putting the prices up, and I think the industry needs thought leaders like that, and we like to think that we want to try and make Crimson Kings to be one of those people setting an example, whether it's through the academy or through just people seeing how we're operating and stuff.
Absolutely love it.
Because I think everyone needs to level up within the industry, because there's so much crap out there.
There is.
People just need to improve, I think.
Improve like all around. And just the pricing's a huge one. This fear, and I see it's very much in those April, May, June months, that suddenly, like, we were going from pricing people and being a few £100 out on certain days, and to then being like £500 out, and it's a challenge. And as I say, a rising tide raises all ships. The more that we can have people out there pushing the industry forward, the better. The more that we can be sharing that experience and being open and honest is better.
I think the industry, the thing we found actually about putting the prices up is it didn't make a difference. And that's the ironic thing. I was speaking to a couple on 2 separate occasions, speaking to some teams a bit out of our area. But these guys, I've been doing it for 12 years. These have been doing it for 25. So they were obviously more experienced than what I am. probably much better arborists. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. But they were singing the same tune that everyone sings, like, oh, we live in a bit not a very affluent area. We think we live in Grantham. Have you ever been to Grantham? Yeah. And then they're saying, oh yeah, but we get loads of round us. You get loads of cowboys and door knockers and all this type. And then I think, we get that as well. So people just wouldn't pay those prices around here. And I think, well, actually, they will.
Yeah. They will, and it's not our job to decide what people can and can't afford.
Yeah.
It's our job to work out what we need to charge to make a good profit.
Yeah. We tracked the quote acceptance rate, don't we?
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It literally hasn't changed.
And that's how because I did the exact same thing. I had a coach that come in and he said to me, Henry, you got to put your prices up. And I was just fucking scared.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I can't. We're going to have no work if I put my prices up. And we did the same, track the conversion rate, and then it doesn't change. You're like, okay.
Well, we put them up about, I think it was 40%. We increased them by, and it didn't change.
Amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then obviously the amount of stress that reduces is just day and night.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why it's always sometimes, and we heard me talking this morning, it's not about big growth. It's not about going, right, we need to have 10 teams to make more money. Like, actually, I think the more teams you get, the less money you end up making because there's more business costs and everything. It's going, how do we run a business with maybe 2 or 3 teams and be able to make a good living? And part of that is knowing your numbers and putting your rates up. And it seems to be a very scary thing, and it's always been scary to me. And even last year when we charged $1,200 a day for a 3-man team, and I remember Mike coming into me when we went 10 times work saying, do you think we better drop our rates now? And I was just like, no, we're not doing it. Like, just keep going. I'm not doing it. And I think we dropped to $1,150 on a couple, but we still didn't win some of those jobs because people still pricing less. But that's where we just got to work out what your business is worth, what it costs to run your business, and then just put your money on top of that and go with it, and you make good money.
But even at £1,200, you're not laughing to the bank. You know, you're probably just getting those, having the money to actually getting those maintenance bits done that you've been putting off for years and stuff. It's not, at £1,200 is, if you factor in all the maintenance time and the time at the yard and cleaning the vans and stuff, that's what it should be.
Yeah, it should
be.
Minimum.
Well, it depends on the business, obviously. But.
It does, but I agree. And it should really be more. And that's where I can see that we've not had this influx of new tree surgeons coming in for so many years because the wages just aren't going up like they should be. Like, people are still getting paid low. So what do you think the biggest challenge is in the industry right now?
I think a lot of people will say staffing, but I think because we've gone down the apprentice route, touch wood, we haven't had that issue so far.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people need a subcontract climber, but they're not willing to invest in bringing people through. And I think that's the issue, really. It starts at the top.
Yeah, and it's that impatience thing again, that I need somebody today that can do the job today, when you guys have looked at it and gone, okay, we're going to invest in these people for the long term.
Yeah, so I'd say the current issue we face maybe is just the standard of the work that you're competing against sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you're selling different services at the end of the day, aren't you? But there's some absolute butchery that goes on out there.
Yeah, some people are happy with that, which is crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They just don't care, do they?
No, they don't. But it's a really difficult one because regulation is needed in our industry.
100%.
Like, it's needed, and the Arbor Association are doing the best they can with what they got. But I think they could be doing a bit more, in my opinion. But until, I guess, the government step in and say that every insurance company or every house that's insured needs to have a Arbor-proof contractor, and every council needs an Arbor-proof contractor, and every contract that gets given needs to have an Arbor-proof contractor or a certain accreditation. It doesn't have to be Arbor-proof, but there's certain accreditation. SSIP, then that will suddenly should start to filter out the playing field.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So we got Arbor approved, nearly 2 years ago now. And I think because we use Chris Cooper, like you, and I think the best way he explained it to me was just like, this is basically your minimum requirement to be legal, like to stay above board if something was to go wrong. That's what the Arbor approval will do. It doesn't really bring you any more work, and I agree with you, they should be doing more.
Yeah, I think that I agree in the sense, like, a lot of people say to me, why are you Arbor approved? And I'm like, one, it has won me work because I've gone out and used it as a badge of honour. But two, I know I can sleep at night knowing that we're doing everything in our business to keep our team safe, because it's not happened, and God forbid if it ever does, but if someone got seriously injured or worse, didn't make it home that day, then I know that we've done everything we can to do the best for that member of staff in that moment. And that's the right thing to do. But then it doesn't bring what a lot of business owners look at is, okay, if I'm going to invest in a consultant, the Arbor Association, tens of thousands of pounds every year in pat testing and Lola and all the stuff, the training, the refreshers and getting it all into place, what's my return going to be? And that's where I think they get a bad rap, is because people get approved, the phone doesn't start to ring and they're like, fuck this, I'm not going to, what's the point? And like I've now learned from this mastermind I do, that actually I thought every council in the country, you'd have to be approved, but you don't.
No.
So I think the Arbor Association will be doing more. I've asked them before, what are you doing for marketing and PR? And I get a politician's answer. So I ask them what their budget is for marketing and PR, but they don't give me one. So I guess they don't have one. I don't know. But they need to be doing more for the whole industry. Like even like the Sycamore Gap thing, like they should have been on BBC News or all of that. They should have been straight on there promoting the Arbor Association. At every opportunity they should be promoting the Arbor Association. But what else do you think they could do?
I think they should be doing more to try and actually educate people, whether it's us, the Arbor approved contractors, or the Cowboys down the street. Because like when you get the Arb magazine and stuff, I wonder how many arborists read that.
Yeah,
It's not relating to them at all.
No.
It's not got the information in it that's actually going to make them better or more efficient.
Yeah.
And I know you have to go on training and stuff like that, but not everything you don't.
No, I think
They could be running customer surveys, customer satisfaction surveys, and teaching people what actually customers actually want.
Yeah.
Doing a broad survey on people and then teaching that to people.
Yeah, they could do that, and that would be a good way to also promote to people the Arbor Association. That's a double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
Get that information. My view is that I think they're very consultant heavy. They're very pro consultants, and it seems to be us tree surgeons are like the bottom end of the industry in their opinion, and they're going to look after their consultants. Because you say the magazine, if you look through the magazine, it's all about the latest fungus different.
And the Arb Journal is just even worse. That's just loads of numbers from some report from Uganda or something on some random tree that's it's not relevant information to the average tree surgeon.
No, definitely not. I agree. It definitely needs to be more put into it. But I'm hoping, John Parker, if you're listening, you can come on this podcast and we can have a good chat about it. I've invited him. I've invited him and Paul. I've sent them emails. So we'll see if we can get the Arbor Association on.
I do support the Arbor Association.
And I agree. And this is the thing, is I support it too. Like we've been part of it. It's the only thing we've got really to grab hold of. But also I've been an arbor contractor for like 12 years. So I very much support it. Yeah. But I also think that there needs to be more done for tree surgeons. There needs to be more pushed for us guys.
More relevant to us.
More relevant to us. So I think it's not necessarily a thing of bashing the Arbor Association. It's more going, let's work together.
Yeah.
Let's get some more tree surgeons involved in the Arbor Association. Let's not just concentrate on the consultants, and let's see how we can push this forward. Because since been doing what I'm doing, people said to me, why don't you start your own accreditation? I'm like, I don't want to be involved in starting accreditation. I like mentoring people. I like sitting chatting to you guys on a podcast episode. The Arbor Association, we've already got one that's there. No one needs to create another accreditation. We just need them to be fighting our corner more, right? So
a good example for what they could do is when we had our apprentices, we won't mind saying, but one of them was struggling a little bit in comparison to the others.
Yeah.
And we were trying different approaches how to try and help him figure it out. I ended up buying him a book by Jeff Jepson. He did the Tree Climber's Companion.
Yeah.
But he did a newer one called Groundy.
Yeah.
And this lad read that book, and it's like the penny dropped on it, or everything.
Overnight.
And he turned into one of the top performers.
Amazing.
So they could just publish a paragraph of that. It's for, not that, but their own version.
Yeah.
That's actually helping someone in a groundsman or a climber role, giving them good advice.
Yeah.
And I think it would have a bit more value to it.
Yeah, love that. What's the book called?
It was called Groundy, and it's by Jeff Jepson. So he's done a few, like To Fell a Tree and Tree Climber's Companion.
Love that. I've not come across that.
They're really good. I think Summerfield.
Groundy book's really good.
Yeah, Summerfield Books sells it. It's American.
Yeah.
So it's not all relevant.
Yeah.
But the same thing goes. It goes for there's a section in there about driving your vehicles. Don't just be on your phone. If you're a passenger in a vehicle, help with the driver.
Yeah.
Let them know if there's anything coming and be an active passenger. Well, not annoying, but not like Jodie if you're watching this. Not to that extent.
But it goes into cleaning work zones, like how to work a work site, things like that. It goes in real into depth about everything to do with being a groundsman.
Top down, start from the shed.
Yeah, which is so important because so many people get a groundsman and just go, "Yeah, I'll go and ground,"
Yeah,
and then and pick that up. But there's so many things like making sure the climbers' ropes are untangled. Hearing the, you can always hear, like I always say to our guys, you can hear when the 200 is about to run out because you can just hear it overread for a little bit. So be ready with the fuel.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes it's difficult when you've never climbed a tree to understand that when you're in a tree, you're getting pulled left to right, and you want to get the job done. So you need your grounding to be on point. So I think any training around that can make a grounding improve is decent. So yeah, I agree. There could be definitely things they could put out there and different things on social media they could put out there because they are followed by many people because of who they are. So yeah, agree. So what's next for you guys?
Just keep plodding on, I think.
Yeah, plodding on. Yeah, the academy, try and build that to as big as well as we can.
Yeah,
get qualified.
Yeah, I think maybe try and get a few more commercial contracts and stuff. It's probably one of our. We work for councils and we work for ground control on power lines now. That was another diversification move when we went quiet. But I just think try and have a broad range of different projects that we can work on.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not motivated to be the biggest in the...
Be better, not bigger.
Yeah, better, not bigger, I think.
Yeah, like what I said earlier, I used to be one of the biggest and best, and then I had 13 teams and 47 staff, and I realised then I do want to be that big. Yeah. But I just want to be one of the best to work for, one of the best companies in quality and service. So I think we're all aligned on that one.
Yeah, sure. I agree with that.
Cool. Anything else you want to share on this podcast?
I'm happy, yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been great to have you guys down. Thanks for coming down all the way from Nottingham or Grantham. And we'll put this episode out shortly. What we'll do is if you want to share with me the links to your academy and stuff like that, if anyone's looking for first aid training or any courses, get hold of these guys. I'm certain they're going to deliver lots of knowledge, lots of skill and lots of value. So yeah, thanks for being on the podcast today, guys.
Cheers.
Cool. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you next time.